Truth revealed about the legendary Sandy Koufax. At almost 90 years old, his life today reflects the hidden costs of greatness that baseball never wanted fans to see.
Koufax.
Sandy Koufax.
The man they called the left arm of God paid a heavy price for his dominance. Sandy Koufax remains one of baseball's most enigmatic figures. His career, though brief, produced a period of pitching brilliance so profound it earned him almost divine status in baseball lore. But beneath the accolades and perfect games lay a reality far more painful than most fans ever realized. From 1961 to 1966, Koufax transformed from a talented but inconsistent pitcher into perhaps the most dominant force baseball has ever seen. Those 6 magical years produced statistics that seem almost supernatural. A perfect game, 4 no-hitters, 3 Cy Young awards, an MVP, and an ERA that dipped below 2 for 3 different seasons. No pitcher in the live ball era had achieved that feat before, and none have matched it since. When Koufax took the mound, batters knew embarrassment was likely. His fastball blazed, his curveball stared at the eyes and broke to the ankles. The great Ernie Banks admitted facing Koufax was frightening. His mental approach was just as formidable as his physical gifts. He focused intently on neutralizing average hitters, knowing stars alone couldn't beat him. He prepared meticulously, avoiding distractions for 2 days before each start. What fans didn't see was the brutal toll this dominance took on his body. Behind the brilliant performances was a man in constant, excruciating pain. While spectators marveled at his perfect game and World Series heroics, Koufax endured a private torture that grew worse with each masterful inning. The trouble began in August 1964. After jamming his arm while diving back to second base during a game in Milwaukee, Koufax continued pitching through swelling and pain. Following a shutout against the Cardinals on August 16th, the severity became undeniable. His elbow swelled dramatically, described by his biographer as big as his knee with fluid pockets resembling hard-boiled eggs. He couldn't straighten his arm. The diagnosis was traumatic arthritis, an incurable condition involving the degradation of elbow cartilage. The news wasn't shared with the public. Instead, the Dodgers organization kept quiet about the extent of their stars' suffering, protecting their brand over their players' health. Yet somehow, Koufax pitched the final 2 seasons of his career, 1965 and 1966, at an astonishingly high level, winning back-to-back Cy Young awards. This remarkable achievement came at an almost unimaginable personal cost. His daily routine was more medical treatment than baseball preparation. He required cortisone injections directly into his damaged elbow joint. He took Emperin with codeine regularly, often in the middle innings of games, just to continue pitching. Butazolidine, a powerful anti-inflammatory drug originally developed for horses and later deemed unsafe for long-term human use, became part of his regimen, sometimes multiple times daily. Before each start, trainers applied a Capiscan-based ointment known as atomic bomb to his arm. This concoction, containing chili pepper extract and other irritants like turpentine, essentially created intense heat on his skin to distract from the deeper pain. After games, he immersed his elbow in ice for extended periods, trying desperately to reduce the swelling that inevitably followed his performances. The physical toll was severe and permanent. His fingers would go numb. His arm swelled grotesquely after pitching. Most tragically, his elbow eventually locked at a permanent 22-degree angle, making simple everyday tasks like combing his hair or shaving painful challenges. Beyond the physical suffering, Koufax also carried cultural burdens that few other players had to bear. As one of the most prominent Jewish athletes of his era, he faced both subtle and overt anti-Semitism throughout his career. Perhaps no moment better defined Koufax's cultural impact than his decision regarding the 1965 World Series. Game 1, scheduled for October 6th against the Minnesota Twins, fell on Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. As the undisputed ace and reigning Cy Young winner, Koufax was the obvious choice to start the opener. His stance was clear and unwavering. There was never any decision to make because there was never any possibility that I would pitch. Yom Kippur is the holiest day of the Jewish religion. The club knows I don't work that day. The decision received support from Dodgers owner Walter O'Malley, but the cultural weight fell squarely on Koufax's shoulders. Don Dresdale started Game 1 instead and struggled badly. When manager Walter Alston came to remove him, Drysdale reportedly quipped, "Hey Skip, bet you wish I was Jewish today too." Koufax returned to pitch Game 2, which the Dodgers lost, but he went on to throw complete game shutouts in Game 5 and 7, the latter on just 2 days rest, to clinch the championship and earned World Series MVP honors. It's moments like these, the kind that make you sit up on the edge of your seat, that remind us why we love baseball. And if you want to experience that feeling today, Fubo lets you stream MLB games and more, live without cable. If you want to watch the greats of today in action, to feel those Koufax level moments unfold live, Fubo lets you do that. Hit the link in the description and try it for free. While this stand made him a hero to many Jewish Americans, providing a powerful symbol of someone achieving mainstream success while remaining committed to his heritage, it also invited criticism and anti-Semitic comments. Biographer Jane Levy documented accounts of teammates using ethnic slurs like Jew bastard and kike, sometimes behind his back, sometimes slipping out in his presence. There were suggestions that mistreatment or inconsistent playing time early in his career might have stemmed from prejudice within the organization. Because he was Jewish, valued his privacy, and showed intellectual interests beyond baseball, he was often characterized as an anti-athlete or dreamy intellectual trapped in an athlete's body, labels that carried anti-Semitic undertones. The constant scrutiny based on his identity rather than his performance likely contributed to Koufax's legendary reserve and intense desire for privacy. Being judged for who he was rather than what he accomplished would naturally lead anyone to withdraw and carefully guard their personal narrative. If the physical and cultural challenges weren't enough, Koufax also faced resistance from baseball's power structure when he tried to assert his worth as a player. Following the 1965 World Series victory, Koufax and fellow Dodgers ace Don Drisdale engaged in a landmark contract dispute with the team. This occurred during baseball's reserve clause era, when players were effectively bound to their teams indefinitely with little leverage in negotiations. Players typically dealt with management individually, and Dodgers general manager Buzzy Bavisi often used one-star salary demands against another's. Koufax and Drisdale discovered they had been played against each other in this manner. In February 1966, they responded with an unprecedented joint holdout, demanding a 3-year, $1 million contract to be negotiated as a package deal. Their strategy hinged on solidarity. One wouldn't sign unless the other signed. This unity directly challenged baseball's established power structure. The Dodgers organization resisted fiercely, opposed to both multi-year deals and negotiating with the player's agent. The team launched a public relations campaign portraying Koufax and Drisdale as greedy, resulting in significant criticism from fans and media. But the pitchers held firm. After a 32-day standoff, the holdout ended on March 30th, 1966. While they didn't achieve their 3-year goal, Koufax and Drisdale secured record-breaking 1-year contracts. $130,000 for Koufax, the highest salary in baseball, and $105,000 for Drisdale. This battle is now recognized as a pivotal moment in baseball labor history, the first significant collective action by star players challenging owners' absolute power under the reserve clause. It helped pave the way for future collective bargaining, salary arbitration, and eventually free agency. The success of their strategy demonstrated the potential power of players standing together against the entrenched system. Despite this victory, Koufax paid a price for challenging baseball status quo. His final season in 1966 was incredibly perhaps his finest. He won a career-high 27 games with a career-best 1.73 REA and earned his 3rd Cy Young Award. Yet the damage to his body had reached a critical point. By season's end, doctors, including team physician Dr. Robert Kurlan, warned him that continuing to pitch would almost certainly lead to permanent disability and loss of normal function in his left arm. On November 18, 1966, just weeks after receiving his third Cy Young Award, Sandy Koufax stunned the baseball world by announcing his retirement at the age of 30. He cited the medical advice and his desire to maintain long-term use of his arm as the primary reasons, choosing health over fame and records. He reportedly feared the long-term effects of the medications he was taking and worried about catastrophic injury if he continued. The decision was shocking, precisely because he was still, unquestionably, the best pitcher in baseball. Koufax's ordeal highlights the primitive state of sports medicine in the mid-1960s. Today, his condition might have been identified as a UCL tear treatable with Tommy John surgery. But that procedure wasn't pioneered until 1974, 8 years after Koufax retired. Dr. Frank Jobe, who developed the surgery, reportedly lamented that it wasn't available for Koufax. Facing permanent disability with no viable surgical solution, his only option was to walk away. While forced by medical necessity, Koufax's retirement was also a significant act of personal agency. At the absolute peak of his powers, receiving unanimous acclaim and record salaries, he consciously chose long-term health over more glory. He decided to buy back the future use of his arm, as he put it. In an era where athletes often push beyond breaking points, Koufax made the difficult choice for his future quality of life. Even in retirement, however, Koufax couldn't escape controversy and invasion of his privacy. In 2003, his fierce commitment to personal boundaries was tested when the New York Post's Page 6 gossip column published a blind item strongly implying he was gay and had only cooperated with Jane Levy's recent biography on the condition that she conceal this fact. Deeply offended by what he viewed as a baseless invasion of his privacy, Koufax took decisive action. He severed his 48-year relationship with the Dodgers organization, noting that both the Post and the Dodgers were owned by Rupert Murdoch's News Corporation at the time. He stated he would no longer attend spring training, visit the stadium, or participate in any team activities while News Corp remained the owner. The incident sparked considerable media discussion about journalistic ethics, the nature of gossip, Koufax's legendary privacy, and lingering stigma surrounding homosexuality in sports. Facing pressure, the New York Post issued a rare apology and retraction, admitting the item was wrong and erroneous. True to his word, Koufax remained estranged from the Dodgers throughout News Corp's ownership and the subsequent controversial tenure of Frank McCourt. Only after the team was sold to the Guggenheim Baseball Management Group in 2012 did he reconcile with the organization. In January 2013, he officially returned as a special advisor to the chairman and a spring training instructor. This episode powerfully demonstrated that Koufax's privacy wasn't merely a preference, but a core principle he would defend at significant cost. His return only after the offending ownership structure was dismantled underscored his unwavering commitment to personal boundaries. Despite his preference for privacy, Koufax has had a significant impact on subsequent generations of players, particularly pitchers within the Dodgers organization. After returning as a minor league instructor in 1979 and later as a special advisor following his reconciliation with the team, his presence became a revered resource. Numerous successful pitchers, including Dave Stewart, Clayton Kershaw, Orel Hersher, and others, have credited Koufax's mentorship as crucial to their development. His coaching style focused less on mechanical overhauls and more on mental approach and fundamental principles, famously advising Stewart simply to pull his cap lower for a more intimidating look, and reminding Kershaw to stay tall. Sandy Koufax occupies a unique place in baseball history due to an unparalleled combination of factors. His statistical peak remains one of the most dominant stretches ever recorded, producing iconic moments etched in baseball lore. Beyond the field, his Yom Kippur decision made him a lasting symbol of Jewish identity in America. His integrity was demonstrated by his retirement at his peak and his principled stance during the 1966 holdout. What makes Koufax truly singular is how his legacy is defined as much by absence as presence. His abrupt retirement at 30, following perhaps his greatest season, left an indelible mark, freezing him in time at his absolute peak. This sudden departure created what-if scenarios that fuel endless debate. His subsequent decades spent largely outside the public spotlight only amplified his mystique. Today, as Koufax approaches 90, his story remains a cautionary tale about the physical price of athletic greatness. We celebrate his perfect games and strikeouts, but often forget the permanent damage to his body, the discrimination he faced, and the battles he fought against baseball's power structure. The truth baseball never fully acknowledged is that Koufax's greatness came at tremendous personal cost. Physical pain that never truly went away, cultural burdens few others had to bear, and a lifelong struggle to protect his privacy in an increasingly intrusive world. His arm may have seemed divine on the mound, but the man attached to it paid a very human price for every perfect inning. Sandy Koufax deserves to be remembered not just for his statistics and accolades, but for everything he sacrificed to achieve them. The left arm of God was also the arm of a man who hurt, who struggled, who stood up for his principles, and who ultimately chose his future well-being over baseball immortality. That is the truth about Sandy Koufax that fans rarely consider when marveling at his records. Behind every no-hitter was excruciating pain. Behind every strikeout was a cortisone shot or painkiller. Behind the World Series glory was a body breaking down far too soon. The price of greatness is never what it seems.